Hello and welcome to Stampscaping 101. This is a scene that I just stamped out. I don't know, I guess I shouldn't call it stamped out. It's as much kind of drawing on this scene as it is stamping. We're talking about two impressions, okay? We're talking about the fishing boat and this lighthouse. And it's a smaller version of the lighthouse that I used in 2 lessons ago. And I thought I would try something. I thought I would go for this series. I don't know, these series of 3 seem to be a good number in terms of I don't know, the very, I don't know, minimal amount. I think for a series it should be 3, not 2. But I wanted to go for the smaller version, and I wanted to kind of build on this idea of this this beam of light coming out here. So in this one right here, one of the you know, foremost graphic statements are these concentric circles here, done in the same manner as the beam of light here with the white pigment ink, but I just cut out a circle like that, and I put some tone around it. Then I cut out that, you know, smaller version of it. You know, I cut out this outer ring, put a little bit more tone around that, and I was left with this one circle, smaller one, cut that out, toned around that in the pigment ink, and I think those make for a nice, I don't know, kind of visual statement there. It looks like light is emanating, I guess, from that center, from the point of, from the light source there. And then I had drawn in these lines in here, these 3 lines, but then I introduced the quote to it right here. Dreams are like stars, you may never touch them, but if you follow them, they will lead you to your destiny. So, I don't know, this is supposed to represent a little bit of a rough sea or something like that. I put that fishing boat at the top of the crest up there, and, you know, thematically, it probably followed the stars and it brought them home, you know, and here's this lighthouse into safe harbor. But I drew 3 lines here to kind of mimic the 3 circles on here, but then I thought, you know, just off the top of my head, I thought, you know, it'd be kind of cool if I put some, it almost looks like a, you know, notes on here, and then I thought, oh, you know, there's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, so I looked up the sheet music for that, and I added these extra 2 lines down here, and the notes for Twinkle Twinkle Little Star right here, so I threw in these bars here. I don't know, it just makes for a kind of a funky, kind of graphical statement that's kind of in theme with it. And then I made these little notes down here, look like little fish. See that like that? These notes should have been, you know, much lower, but I didn't have room for it because I thought about doing that after the fact. So, if you're a musician, you know, give me a little bit of a lead, you know, artistic freedom, you know, for adding that, you know, way up there, okay? So, anyways, this scene here is a lot of fun for me. There's kind of a, what do you call it? It kind of appeased that little graphic designer inside of me that I'm really not, but I do love graphic design. And doing a spread like this, it's card, but it's almost like more like doing kind of like a, instead of like scene stamping or something like that, or card making, it's almost more like a magazine layout or something like that. I would kind of refer to this as more of a layout. In terms of sequential aesthetics, we have like something like that, and then we have this spread open, which is really fun to do. So, very simple elements. I mean, it took me a while to do because I had to cut this out here, and I had to kind of decide what I was doing along the way. But this card right here is really quite simple. We have this one line out here that's a horizon line. We've drawn in, you know, 5 lines down here. The concentric lines right here, and adding that pigment ink in here is the thing that took probably the most amount of time, but 2 impressions as far as stamps go. And they have been used in this, you know, layout here in a way that I've never used them before. So, always fun to kind of play around with things. In a spiritual sense, stamps love to be used, and I do think about them in terms of that way at times, you know. but then kind of you always want to see them kind of spread their wings, so to speak, and to, you know, I don't know, test their abilities and usages in different types of settings. And it's always kind of fun to see them used that way. And I don't know. And this one right here, I think it was used kind of effectively. So I don't know. Very different for me, as well as most of the cards that I've been doing lately, because I really want to explore it a little bit, and then get back to some very deep space in terms of depth. Cards on glossy, but something like that sure was fun. So if you decide to check it out, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy kind of the little twist on the usages of the stamps. So thanks as always for watching. Okay, I'm having so much fun with this kind of dark matte cardstock, and it's opening up some new possibilities for me. Or, I don't know, it's really not new possibilities, but it's rather kind of some new ideas for me as far as the usage of the stamps go in certain kinds of compositions. And I was thinking about this composition with the smaller version of the lighthouse that I used in the previous two previous videos ago. And I thought I would try it out on this one. I thought maybe I could do kind of like a series of 3 of these lighthouse compositions. I have an idea for the second one. I don't have an idea for the third one at this point in time, but, well, I thought I'd try the second one here. This is a gigantic French curve template that I have in my collection. I used to collect every French curve that I could find at the store. They used to have them in packs. There weren't too many out there, though. There were, you know, about a dozen or so, I would say. Believe it or not, there weren't more than that. There might have been some older ones that were in production at some point in time, but the ones that I could find at any art store were very few. I don't know, maybe at the time I was buying them, which was a really long time ago, but you know, in terms of the time of usage of them went, I guess not a lot of people were using them even at that point in time. Okay, I'm using the, oh boy, I don't know the code for this one. I'll get it at some point in time for you. But here's my composition right here. I was thinking about this lighthouse right here, kind of like dead center in this one. I'm going to have a beam of light coming out this way, or over this way maybe. I thought I would put this little fishing boat here. And I have some other rocks in here, but I was thinking about maybe I'll do a horizon line. I'm not sure. I could have these rocks and waves down here and still do a horizon line. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to do the horizon line, but I think I will, you know, so still deciding, but trying to decide if I want to mask this off and build the composition from there, or will this just be kind of off in the distance, kind of, you know, just kind of dissipating into the this area down below. I don't know. Could go whichever way. I'm wondering if this would just be too kind of bold, you know, and if we're out here. Oh, I don't want it to kind of too ominous. I want it to be, I don't know, kind of a soothing type of composition. I mean, it looked fine in the last scene because I had these rocks represented something much closer, okay? But now we're looking kind of like from out at sea into shore in some ways, or I don't know if this is the shoreline. There could be a lighthouse that's been built out on some rocks out, you know, out here, and they built the lighthouse on top of it, so, you know, ships wouldn't go crashing into it. Maybe we'll do it like that, okay? I tell you what, let's try that composition. There's no right or wrong to this, you know. there's always a question of, would something look better one way or the other? But until you do it, you never really know. And unless you do it both ways, you know, you'll never know. And so in the cases of, most cases with me, I guess I never know, because if I'm trying to make a, 5 decisions along the way of a certain composition, I don't necessarily revisit that same exact composition, but just do that, that alternate, whatever choice that I, didn't choose the first time. Okay. All right, I'm kind of wiping off the bottom of this stamp right here because I want it to blend, kind of fade out at the base of it, okay? It's just because I'm stamping it an isolated image right here, and I'm not really, at this point in time, thinking about putting anything else at the base of it, so I just want it to kind of fade off at the bottom. And the question is, how high do I put it? Maybe like about like so. Alright, this is a Versafine black. I don't know if there's a name of it. Onyx black, O-N-Y-X. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I don't see that word very often. Okay. This is the first time I've stamped with this. One's a brand new demo stamp here, so kind of keeping extra pressure on it. And plus this is kind of matte paper. Okay, so we have our image there. And again, it kind of blends out at the bottom like I want it to. Okay. It's kind of a weird looking composition at this point in time, but hopefully it keeps developing, and we get to the point that we wanted at. Now, one of the things I did on the previous card was I created a horizon line, okay? And that was just with, see, it's kind of subtle up here, and it was just with a straight piece of paper. And I think it'll be important in this scene to have a horizon line. Unless you had really turbulent waves going everywhere, maybe you wouldn't see it. But in this one right here, by the way, that was a white gel pen. That's to represent this wave that I'm going to put this this boat onto. I'm not sure where on the wave. Could put it right on the the edge of it. Maybe that might look kind of dramatic that way, but we'll see. I don't really have that decision made up yet. Okay, now, just like yesterday, I think I better do a little measuring here, okay? Let's see, where do I want that horizon line to go? Maybe I'll put that horizon line down this way. Yeah. Okay, I tell you what, let's do something here for continuity's sake. I'm going to take this. Do you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to keep the same horizon line as this scene right here for a little visual kind of a visual bridge between the two scenes. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And doing something like this, having something in common with the previous one is one way to do it. Okay, I'm trying to see where I put that little nick in the paper to show it. I didn't want a gigantic nick. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, just laying down some paper. Ah, I made it so small I can barely see it. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think I used the Marvy black yesterday. I'm not sure. You can use the Versafine again if you want to. Okay, now in this case, because I have to hold this paper down. Okay, I'm going to move it so you can see it a little better, though. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to keep this paper this way. Ergonomic would be this way, but I'm having to hold this paper down so it doesn't move. And I don't feel like taping it down. I'm too lazy for that. Now, when I'm doing this, when I'm dragging this, I'm not using any pressure at all on the pad. I'm just making my swipes, and it's just kind of, you know, gently kind of dragging across the surface. So I don't have a tip that's going to tear on me because there's just isn't enough pressure being applied to get anywhere close to tearing the tip, okay? So it's only when you try to rush the process, okay? Which is nothing wrong with that if you want to get it done a little bit faster, but it's going to be a little bit more rough on the tips, okay? But I just assume your tips last a really long time. Okay. So there's my horizon line now, okay? It's going to be a little bit thicker on the edges. Trying to decide if I want to do anything else with that. I think that looks fine. Compositionally, the structure looks pretty good. I'm not used to not having a lot of imagery and building out a scene, you know, so this is like it's kind of a minimalist use of a minimalist usage, minimalist-like usage, okay, there we go. Like usage of the stamps, okay? I don't know, it's kind of interesting. It makes the individual stamp, I mean, naturally stand out quite a bit because you can really see, you know, that's the whole image right there. It's, you know, the silhouette of it, you know, really has to work, you know, because it's not filled with all this other stuff in there, so. Okay, so we have that now. Boy, are we already at the stage of this? I'm not sure. I do have a quote coming that's going to go in here, so hopefully that works out okay. I think I might like the idea of this boat up here. I could put this boat up here or down here. I'm thinking it might be kind of interesting to have it right on that line right there, though. All right, let's do that. Okay, so there's a little bit of a shadow down here at the base of this, so I'm going to try and aim it just right. Okay, I tell you what, I'll look at that, it's about right there and there. I want it to look like this fishing boat stamp is, you know, kind of in not super rough seas, but, you know, there is that swell out there that's kind of influencing it. Influencing it in terms of the angle of it, just to make it a little bit more dynamic. Now, one thing I'm noticing is that white shows up a little bit in the boat, okay? So I will fill that in with something, maybe a pen. Let me see this pen right here. Boy, that sure is I don't think I've used this pen before. This is like a, it's like a micron pen almost. This one's a Pilot pen. And I'm just filling that in a little bit. I don't want that line showing through the boat. I stamped it a little bit low. I keep picking up some of that white gel on this pen and it's kind of jamming it up, so I'm kind of rubbing it off a little bit. I guess because this pen's so delicate. Alright, there we go. Kind of. It needs a little bit more. But that's good for now. So, let's see here. We have the main components, but I want this ship to kind of be in the light too. Alright? It's like being signaled home. And then I think I'm going to try this other thing. I think around that lighthouse. I want something kind of bright. Alright, now let's do something here. Let's enter some light into that lighthouse. There's the windows on the side of the lighthouse, okay? There and there. And then the light itself. I'm going to illuminate that just with a white gel pen. Okay. It's alive. Okay, now, let me see. I was thinking about having that light just come straight across this way to that fishing boat. Like coming across the, you know, the wave here. I'm not quite sure though. This is going to be a very, very graphic statement here if I do that. Let me see something. I haven't done it yet. This is a piece of vellum right here. Let's see, that would be... I'm trying to see what it would look like here. I'm trying to see if I would like it, even. I'm not sure if I want it beaming out, because that would be too repetitive with this one, too. Okay, but if I have it like, or I can have it coming out both ways like that. And that should be kind of Oh, maybe. Like it's a double beamed light that's kind of going around. That might be kind of interesting to have it going like that. Sorry I'm being so indecisive right here. Alright, I'm just going to go for it here. This is not a decision that's going to make or break this image, but I'm going to go with my first instinct here, and I'm going to bring it right across this ship, okay? This boat, this little fishing boat. Like that. That's where the beam's going to be. Maybe I should make it... dare I put it right there on the corner of that card? I don't think so. Okay. Alright, there's my beam, I think. Well, I say I think. That's my beam of light. Colorbox Frost White Pigment Ink. Okay. Being applied with the Colorbox stylus tool with the white oval tip. I forgot to mention that earlier. I should mention that every time. A lot of people are curious about this tool. I always think people know it, but not everyone does. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of building up a little bit more ink around the light itself, and then as it gets closer out here, my plans are to use a little bit less ink. Okay. Oops. There's quite a bit of ink build up right there for some reason. Yeah, let's wipe it off a little bit. I'll take some off with a clean one. Okay, let's add some more back this way. This is like one of those instances in rubber stamping where you're doing something and there's like an actual, like reveal in the process. Because as you're doing this, you got everything covered up, and it's really kind of difficult to say what it's going to look like, unless you're working with two pieces of like acetate here and you can see through it. But doing this, it's you're not really quite sure. I can take a little peekaboo of it if I want. We don't have to get this beam of light completely even, but I get it reasonably. Oops, my mat is shifting. Okay, there we go. Got that beam of light coming across there, like so. Do I want to have it coming out that way too? It might be kind of interesting. Not sure. I can decide that later. All right. Now, one of the things I was thinking about doing on here was doing a different effect, so it's not just this beam. Being that that beam of light is coming out towards us, I was thinking about doing some kind of like some light beam rings, okay? I don't know, it's just something that I was thinking about that might look kind of cool on here. I guess I could just do some lines too. Alright, I have a piece of acetate here, okay? That's why I had that out, and I was thinking about, like I said, doing some kind of, I was thinking about doing some kind of concentric line type of thing. You know, like this beam of light is, you know, there's kind of a glare to it. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how any of this is going to work ever, but in these new techniques, but kind of just in theory, I thought it would make for maybe perhaps an interesting effect. Okay, this is my trusty compass right here. I hardly ever use the lead holder portion of this because I usually have the universal media holder in it, and I did a video on that before. Alright, let's see if I can get this lead in there nice and straight. Okay, now, alright, that's the middle of that lighthouse. Okay, we'll go to about like here. And, okay, maybe I'll go a little bit wider. I'll show you what I'm doing. Well, you'll see what I'm doing when we get to it. When we get to this application of it. Okay, there's 3 concentric circles here. Let's see, can we see that? I don't know if you can see it. Okay, right here. And let's see. Do I need to continue that? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the perimeter one first, I think. I haven't done this before, so in theory, I was going to say in theory it should look okay. I don't know what it should look like in theory. Well, you know, we're going to find out everything here. Okay, let's see what we have here. This is one of those instances in that I usually don't come across. It's really rare that you see me cutting anything out for a scene. I mean, once in a blue moon I'll do it, but by and large I just don't have the, you know, the need to be doing any kind of scissor trimming work, as far as, at least as far as it goes for scenes. Okay, I'm masking this off, and let's see, concentric circle number 1. Okay, I need to get this into a position where I can reach everything. I think this will be good right here. And let's see if we can give some kind of interesting look to this lighthouse, okay? Everything in the name of kind of a, I don't know, what would we call it? Scene dynamics, maybe? Okay. This ink pad, this white pigment ink that I'm using is not very wet, okay? So I'm not getting these blobs of ink everywhere, and plus I'm doing some very light tapping. If you notice, I'm just working in one area too, okay? What you might not be able to tell is I'm kind of working close to this edge right here, then I'm working a little bit out, so hopefully it gets this little bit of a flare effect going. Kind of like that light beam, but just, you know, kind of more of this circular pattern now. Okay, I don't want the edges real hard or anything like that. You know, just in terms of the contrast. You know, the contrast being created by the white and the card itself, okay? So I would say this is very, very, very translucent. Even when you put down a lot of this ink, it's, you know, it's pretty translucent. For my purposes here, that's not a bad thing, because I like having it kind of build up slowly, because I feel like I'm in a little bit more control over this process. And doing something like this, it seems like it could be one of those situations where, you know, it can go a little bit awry if the ink is like too blobby, or if it's drying too fast on your paper, because, you know, right now I can just kind of tap it out and I can see it kind of developing. I mean, it barely shows up in some ways, okay? So it's something like that. It starts to really show where I didn't really cut this too, you know, perfectly, but that's all right. It's all right to me, because I don't, you know, I guess I have made a decision not to value that so much. You know, I don't need precision as far as this card goes. I tend to try to be very precise in the stamp designing, but as far as the usage goes, I want it to be fun and kind of, I don't know what the word is, free form, you know, loose, whatever. Okay. Kind of lining up the little holes that that compass kind of made. Okay, so moving it back down like this for access. There's a little hole in this, and I can see the little hole where that compass leg was kind of poked into the paper a little bit. Okay. Okay. It's one of those instances where kind of an ergonomic kind of angle is not being employed here. Because I'm just kind of, I need to hold this down, so I can't really spin this paper around. I don't know. We don't need to do this for terribly long time. I was thinking about getting a little bit of this kind of a little texture down on here, because I don't think that'll be a bad thing. Okay. Concentric circle number 2 on here. Okay. The spirit of this one, as well as the last scene, I mean, here I'm trying for it, but just to kind of give, somewhat of a kind of a picture book-ish, like children's picture book, a type of look to it, kind of like a type of innocence and charm, to the kind of the illustration style. Kind of painterly and loose again. And kind of really a statement on something being a handmade piece. Alright, final piece on here. Pigment ink is fun. You know what you could do too is, if you have like a white pastels or something like that, you can use that as well. Or chalks, and use that instead. The reason I say that is because in my mind here, to my eye, it almost looks like, like a pastel application of or a pastel application on this card, rather than ink. Alright, let's see. Kind of interesting. It's kind of like a... Oh, I don't know, what do you call those things? It's kind of a... Oh, I forgot those kind of things that you look at. Not one of those things that you kind of see a word or a face in or something like that, but... I don't know, it's kind of like hypnotic or something like that. That's not the word I'm looking for, but I forgot what those posters were. I don't know, psychedelic or something like that. Okay, so we have that being those concentric circles coming out like that. Let's put in some more light around the lighthouse, okay? Or around the light of the lighthouse, okay? Okay. Kind of blotting some of it away. Maybe that was a little bit too much. But you can just kind of dab some of it off. It comes right off. Putting some at the base down here of these crashing waves. Okay. I have a quote stamp that I think I'm going to use on here. And I need to leave room for it. Okay. I'll talk about that later. But let's start adding in some additional tone. Alright, now I have these waves here, but one of the things I was thinking about doing was adding some more of that look here. Just as a kind of a graphic statement. Kind of, I'll tell you what, I'll kind of match the kind of the spacing of these three circles right here, and we'll see if it kind of lends itself to kind of a nice visual kind of relationship between those rings over there and the waves, or the wave here. Haven't used these French curves in quite some time. Alright. See that? And this is, this is a folded card again, so it's going to look like that. So we have that. And it opens up like that. Alright, but let's see here. We need some different effects in here. Everything's looking a little bit redundant, so let's add our stars to the sky. Okay, or let me see, I have that quote stamp. I was going to save that till the end. Maybe it's time to put it in here because I don't want to add a bunch of stars in here where this quote stamp's going to go. And for us to not be able to, make out some of the writing, you kind of want to avoid the letter forms with those stars. So, all right, now this one says, "Dreams are like stars. You may never touch them, but if you follow them, they will lead you to your destiny." Kind of, is in the spirit of this one here. It's like a perhaps a fishing boat, kind of disoriented, but they kind of follow the stars, and here they are in safe harbor. Here's the lighthouse here. Okay, now in the last scene, I put the quote down at the lower end, but on this one, I'll put it up in the sky, kind of amongst the stars for that quote. And I'll just stamp this in white, so it'll be a kind of reverse out lettering, light on dark. I'm finding with these pigment ink pads, you really have to kind of watch what you're doing to make sure that you're getting a nice even coat of ink on it. Because it's so thick. Oh boy, do I do this? I'm going to put this right along this horizon line to kind of create a little bit of a relationship between this text and that horizon line. I'm not going to put it right on the horizon line, but I'm going to use that horizon line as a bit of a guide in terms of you know, my level reference point. Okay, so we have that. Boy, that text sure does look good in these scenes. Dreams like stars, you may never touch them, but if you follow them, they will lead you to your destiny. So this, this kind of the spread is starting to come together, I feel. It's kind of like a, I don't know, like a graphic design project. Like you're doing like a magazine spread or something. Alright, now, this scene, or that quote at least, is about stars, so let's add some in. And what this does is it creates a little bit of a textural I have a bunch of ink on my finger here, so I'm kind of like stamping out tiny little stars here. But we're creating a bit of a textural contrast between the ocean and the sky, so what that does is it creates variation. Now, kind of in a, when you're out at sea or whatever, or just in an area without a lot of city lights, it's really surprising or kind of amazing and cool that just how many stars you can see. But kind of make them a little bit random, I guess. Kind of cluster some once in a while, make some a little bit larger. Okay, now I'm just going to go right into my concentric circles. I'm just kind of not going, I'm avoiding going below the horizon line. Isn't that fun? I don't know, I mean, it's not realistic at all. So these stamps, you can stamp out scenes with, a certain degree of kind of realism. But they're like chameleons, you can use them for a lot of different types of looks and usages. I mean, I don't know, I could probably stamp that lighthouse in white, for some purpose. Winter looking, seaside scene maybe. Let's go bold here. Let's add a really big star, or maybe that one's a planet. Okay. Okay, that's what we have. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can get a little bit of the splashes down in those crashing waves. I don't want too many because they really, really stand out down there. You know, in such a dark area that, I don't know, might look kind of interesting, like so. It's just, I don't know, like I said, there's a certain degree of innocence to the scene, or this kind of structuring, I guess, like a children's book. I love children's books, by the way. I'd periodically buy one. There were some really fantastic illustrations in them. Haven't bought one in a while, but some of the really cool illustration styles, and I don't know, kind of storylines were in those. Okay, I'm kind of giving this water a little bit of a different texture, so it's kind of standing out a bit from you know, the rest of the scene. But on the same hand, you know, on the other hand, it's kind of creating a relationship because it's the same type of you know, base form, which is the white dot that's being used or employed in these areas. Okay. I might have added too many of them there, but oh, I don't know. It's kind of fun. Maybe I'll, you know, you can wipe some of them off if you want to, or kind of subdue some, maybe, or maybe not. On the glossy paper, it just wipes off. I did it right here, and it looks like it's there, but I don't know. That's okay. Okay, now let's see. All right, I wanted to add a little bit more tone. I can still see a little bit of that white line showing through here. Okay. There's my little ship and my spread here. Here's the spread. Okay, kind of an interesting card or composition. And being that it's a two-page spread, it comes this way. And then we have our quote up there. But like this, it sure seems like those are the ideal spot to write something or to put something else on these things. Oh, you know, my gosh, you know, it would be really cool. These look almost like music bars or something like that, right? And if there was like if I did like the notes for Twinkle Twinkle on here, on this thing right here, That would be something. I mean, I would need more bars right here. Do I do that? I don't think I want to do that, but I was thinking about maybe I should go two more of these lines here. I don't need to go 3 just to match it up there, but let's come down about like that. Let's continue the wave down below here. Okay. Let's vary a couple of these stars to make them a little bit more twinkly. Kind of seeing this a little bit more and more out there in different samples, which is really cool because it's a really fun little effect, and I think it's very effective in terms of you know, just adding that little extra to such a simple little visual vehicle of a dot. You know, just putting that little bit of a glow around it, it really gives it kind of its own kind of personality. I guess if you have 20 of them out there, it's not terribly unique, but I'm just separate from the rest of them, you know. And if you see that kind of little bit of the glow, it just means that it's, you know, it's a little star that's shining a little bit brighter. You know, amongst you know, a galaxy of stars. Okay, let's make that light a little bit brighter, glowing. I don't know. I'm gonna go and download that Twinkle Twinkle. I mean, if I put a couple little notes down here, I mean, that might look really cool. You know, and just might be that kind of little finishing touch. I mean, it would be subtle. I mean, someone would have to kind of know music, you know. But I don't know. I guess I can kind of get it, though. But let me go take a look at that and see what happens. Okay, I have the sheet. I forgot I had my computer right here. I was testing out the live broadcast stuff, so I'm looking at right at the sheet music. I'm not a musician or anything like that, but I think I can do the notes at least. And this is perfect here. Well, actually, it's not too perfect. Let me see. The first notes here, is that a C? I forgot. Anyways, this one's, I don't know, it's not, I rarely use pencil either, but since this is kind of a weird thing that I'm doing for me, I'm going to do it in pencil, okay? So it's twinkle, and this goes up about twinkle, and then is it G? Twinkle, and then little star. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I need to do this. I need to really space things out good, so that I don't have very much space down here, and I have just enough. So it's twinkle, twinkle, and then can't even see where I drew that. Little. Let me see. And then star, this one's going to be right on this line here. I'm trying to angle these, you know, at the same angle as the that line happens to be at. Alright. So, in the spirit of, I don't know, kind of just being gutsy and going for it, let's do this one right here. Alright. Alright, let me try to even this out, okay? We're going to do our notes in white. Otherwise it just wouldn't show up enough, I don't think. Now these ones would be a little bit lower, but I don't have room down here because I didn't plan for it. I'm going to have to put that line through it so that it makes sense from a musical standpoint. To those that are musicians out there. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to keep these all fairly consistent. It'd be easy for me to, you know, start on one side and work my way to the other, and that suddenly these notes are all kind of different sizes and shapes. So, try to keep referencing what I've already kind of laid down here, and also the spacing of the notes. Okay, this is kind of fun because, you know, these notes down here could almost be like little fish in the water too. Okay, kind of nice from a graphical standpoint. Alright, now do I hand draw the... I forget what you call them. Yeah, I guess I'll just do them by hand. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Okay. Alright, now these two down here. I don't know any of the music terminology, but let's see, let's put that. And of course, these are just not positioned anywhere where they should be. But there we have it. Okay. I should put a little gill on these things with a little bit, with a little eye too. Should I do that? I don't know. It already is in the spirit of, you know, something not quite so realistic. Maybe just the eye. Let's see what we can do here. You know, so that does look like little animals. I know, not what you have been accustomed to seeing in, I don't know, the other, whatever, the other 200 videos. For those of you that like the dye-based ink, glossy paper technique, don't worry, I haven't left that behind. I love doing that, you know, just in terms of deep saturations and, you know, a lot of my kind of aesthetic, you know, preferences are in that technique. But it is fun to get out and experiment a little bit with this. I mean, this is really fun. Oh, here's the eyeballs on these little things. So, see, doesn't it kind of go in theme? I don't know, it might be kind of forcing it into I don't know, the format and spirit of it, but I don't know, those lines were there. There is a simple, very well-known song out there, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. We have the quote about the stars, we have the stars up there. And like I said, those lines were already there. It's just a matter of drawing two more of them, so I don't know, I couldn't resist. Yeah. So anyway, if anyone knows that, oh my god, do I draw that line down that? I can come right here with it too. Let me see here. And I can come down this way. A little bit more. All right, now this I'm not going to. I'm going to use a ruler for this one. if you're watching these videos, this must be the most bizarre thing in the world to watch, you know, in terms of the scene right here. I guess any of these videos, but okay, now these lines are usually a little bit thicker, but maybe I won't do that. Oh, that looks even more musical now, doesn't it? I guess. We can write like 4/4 over here for 4/4 time. But I don't think we're going to do that. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Anyway. What do you think? Things keep changing, don't they? If you've been watching these videos lately, I mean, there's a lot of things happening around here. You can even write twinkle, twinkle, little star. You can even write it in here if you wanted to. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. But I think we'll just leave it for kind of those in the know. I like these little fish down here too. All right, I'll do it. I was tempted before, but I thought I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to give these little fish a little gill too, okay? All right, there we go. There's my little creatures. Look how happy they look. All right, there's my twinkle, twinkle, little star spread. So, what do we have here? We have, I don't know, something that I've never stamped out before. I used to like doing things like my magazine layouts and things like that for, well, not magazine, but the catalog layouts and whatnot. Playing around with some different graphics like that, but I don't know, I just really haven't employed it into stamping. So things are changing. I did used to like, I'm not any good at it, but like really graphic design types of things, so you know, when I used to do ads and things like that, it used to kind of satisfy kind of that portion of me, but I don't know, doing things like this is kind of fun. It's not necessarily realistic, or not in any way realistic, but certainly graphic, and I think this scene here, I think, is doing a couple of different things. Sorry, I'm kind of bending it because I'm trying to get the glare off this. But that's okay, here we go. Doing things like this, alright, I think there's a certain type of, like I said, it's like a story or picture book type of thing. There's an innocence to it, but I think while at the same time, you know, kind of some really friendly and kind of like these innocent marks, like this real, you know, this concentric circle type of glow coming out of that. I mean, it's not realistic at all, but I guess there's an intimacy to this type of composition here, but what I was getting at was you can still have kind of some dynamic and dramatic elements within the scene here. I think, you know, those stars up there and that horizon in there make for a nice, powerful kind of statement in terms of shapes. Certainly, this use of the waves, and you know that, and then turned into this musical bar. I mean, just by, you know, chance. I mean, you know, if I didn't leave room for it, it wouldn't work. But you know, and just, I don't know, things come up. Like, you know, I was thinking, okay, if we do that, then why don't we do something in the theme of that? So you put these little notes down here, and I don't know, all these things are interplaying off of each other. You know, we have these lines down here kind of relate to these ones up here in terms of the spacing between it. You know, then we have the kind of that kind of a visual relationship, you know, between this area and this, you know, this area down here. I think this, you know, if you take out this beam of light and you just look at this and this, I don't know, it wouldn't be the same for me, I think. The quote stamp, you know, kind of adds that extra little touch of, I don't know, it's kind of a poignant or a layered type of depth to the scene. I don't know, maybe intellectually or something like that because you're reading it. But here again we go with those sequential aesthetics. Hopefully someone sees something like this, and I don't know, this suddenly down here looks kind of weird as a visual statement, but then, you know, someone spreads it out like this, and I think it all kind of comes together for them, you know, in terms of this recipient of your card here. But I don't know, this card took however long it took in this one, but let's say if I had this layout here, and I know where I was going with it. This thing could come out much faster. You know, it'd be easier to just lay these lines down here. We have this kind of horizon line going across there. A couple, you know, just 2 impressions as far as stamps go. Those stars up there. I think the thing that took longest was just cutting out this circle right here, and then cutting out the next one, and then cutting out the next one in there. But, you know, was a simple process. I mean, those things are by no means real smooth. You can see it's kind of choppy, and some of them are kind of thicker in some areas than in the other areas. Those circles were not cut out perfectly round or anything like that. But, oh, here's one thing too. I mean, as I came into these areas with the color, I tried to make sure not to go all the way to the next ones, you know, so that we can differentiate each concentric circle within each other. I don't know, these little fishies down here are certainly fun. What are they? You know, maybe some sardines or something like that, making up that, you know, that song down there and those notes. So I don't know, it'd be kind of cool, you know, to give this to someone that, I don't know, someone that played piano or something like that, or something of that sort. I think you can do this type of vehicle anywhere. I think wouldn't there be kind of an interesting look if you position this down low and you know, you did some kind of, or they can be in straight lines too, some sort of musical sheet up there, and you can kind of look up, you know, the sheet music for any type of song. Maybe one of your friends has a favorite song or something like that, and, you know, they're a musician, they play the piano or something like that, and you kind of put, you know, a few notes up there, you know, the first line or something like that of your friend's, you know, favorite song or something that, you know, they like. And I think that would be kind of interesting. I think they would get it, and it would be something you know, completely unexpected for them. So that's always the fun type of thing to do. It's always about, I don't know, when you give a card to someone, you know, it's always about kind of, you know, you want to do, you know, you want to make their day in some ways. This is a silver pen. I forgot I could have used this on my last scene too, and I still can. But I love silver little touches, metallic touches in cards, because it captures that light if you angle it in a certain way, right? Okay, so anyway, what fun. And it's another kind of a instance where I really didn't know where some scene was going, but that's the beauty of rubber stamping. You know, in the course of I don't know, whatever amount of time it took to do, you know, it took us on a little bit of a ride of uncertainty in terms of what it would look like in the end result. And as you're kind of going along that, you know, journey, you know, there's different things that come up and different forks in the road, you know, which you can take. So it's always kind of fun to see what kind of develops and what you'd think about, you know, along the way. Definitely never thought about doing something like these notes down here, but I think it goes okay with it, you know, from a thematic standpoint. From a visual standpoint, you know, it kind of merges into those waves down there and those things kind of relate. So, you know, why not play around with those types of elements and, I don't know, kind of leave things open for yourself in terms of the freedom of, I don't know if it's expression or whatever, but whatever it is, it's just darn fun. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this scene, this card. I don't know, it's more of a card, I guess, than a scene, but I don't know, what can I say? It was just a lot of fun to do. So thanks for watching so much, and if you bared with me and you've stayed till the end, I hope you really had a great time, and I hope you kind of experiment with this type of look as well. It was just so much fun playing around with that type of thing, you know. You know, pull out your rulers, or if you don't have French curves like this, you know, you can kind of cut out some things in cardboard and create your own curves, or look for found objects that you might have and use those. So anyways, if you have any questions, drop us a note in the comment section, and if you have any kind of questions about Stampscapes, you can always check out our website at stampscapes.com.